Hello, I'm Irene Tansman, author of Abie and Arlene's Autism War. If your loved one is enrolled in a rehabilitation facility in Massachusetts, or you are considering rehabilitation for your loved one with autism and/or intellectual disability, please consider joining the Rehabilitation Families in Massachusetts Facebook group. Today, I'd like to discuss cognitive impairments or intellectual disability in individuals with severe autism. And I will also review this book right here, The Reason I Jump by Naoki Higashida. When your loved one has extreme communication and motivational deficits, it's hard to tell what other deficits he or she has. Some bloggers, vloggers, and social media frequenters have said their loved one with severe autism has cognitive deficits and an IQ of this or that number. I've often wondered how exactly they arrived at that IQ number. Did their loved one sit and cooperate with a professional administering an IQ test? My son would never do that. For my son, an IQ test would measure motivation to do the test tasks more than measure the IQ. In addition to those who are sure that their loved ones have cognitive deficits, there are those who are certain there are no cognitive deficits in those with severe autism. These folks believe that those with severe autism are as capable as anyone else. They believe the bodies of their loved ones with autism work differently, and we are unaware of the complex thoughts they have in their heads, the people with autism have in their heads. Some of these folks believe these folks who believe that there are no cognitive deficits believe that facilitated communication, rapid prompting, and other similar methods help unlock the thoughts of those trapped inside a body that doesn't work. Now I'm going to unveil my truth to all my viewers. Although what I have to say isn't as satisfying as either of the two positions I mentioned previously. So here goes. Nobody knows. We don't know if those folks, the folks suffering from severe autism, have cognitive deficits, and if they do, we don't know to what extent they do because we don't have an accurate way to test these individuals. The traditional means, IQ tests, do not accommodate this disability, and we can't accommodate it because we don't know how to do it. Now I'd like to say a few words about the role of touch with people with autism. I can stick my finger in the middle of my son's back, and he will grab his toothbrush, put toothpaste on the toothbrush, put water on the toothbrush, and brush all four quadrants of his mouth. He has a hard time doing this without the one finger in his back. I don't know why, and we don't fully understand the role touch plays with individuals with autism. So that's one thing to consider when thinking about facilitated communication. There was a 1994 study debunking facilitated communication, and consequently, organizations such as the American Speech and Hearing Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics got on board with discrediting the method. Unfortunately, the landmark study debunking facilitated communication was conducted by a researcher who made his fortune by selling other augmentative communication methods, leaving many to disbelieve his research because of his conflicts of interest. I also want to mention that there have been disastrous consequences to the popularization of facilitated communication. Parents were accused of horrendous abuse with the only evidence being facilitated communication testimony. And we really don't know if facilitated communication works. I have the same unsatisfying opinion of the validity of facilitated communication or rapid prompting. That is, we simply don't know. I have tried to get my son to type out requests that are not programmed into his iPad. I have icons of the things that he frequently requests. So I want him to type out those things that might not be already there in icons that he knows where it is and everything. So these are things that he really wants and can spell and read, items like ice cream. He has a tough time doing this with even a finger in his back or a hand on his shoulder. I must influence him to press the right letters. Otherwise, he won't type them in. So facilitated communication or rapid prompting isn't for us. Our goal is to eventually, he'll have to type it independently, or I don't consider that he's actually doing it. I consider that I'm influencing him. So it's not for us, but does this work for somebody else? Did it work for Naoki Higashida, the claimed author of The Reason I Jump? Does this book provide a window into what someone with severe nonverbal autism thinks? For this, I still have the same unsatisfying answer. That is, we don't know. But I have many questions. In the introduction to the book, the introduction to the book explained that Naoki used a letterboard. And why do you need an intermediary to hold up a letterboard and transcribe the letters? The majority of The Reason I Jump, the book The Reason I Jump, are questions and answers about what it's like to be a nonverbal person with autism. If Naoki wrote the book, it has great value. If he didn't write the book, it simply doesn't. The book fails to make the case that Naoki wrote the book. I couldn't find YouTube videos showing him writing the book. The book fails to mention the controversy at all. I can't tell you for sure who wrote the book because those who put this tiny book out there for $22 didn't even attempt to address the burning authenticity questions. I rate this book 1 star because I feel the burden of the proof is on the authors and the publishers of the book, and they simply didn't address this question. There is a documentary on this book and on Naoki Higashida. I haven't seen it yet, but I may consider reviewing that sometime in the future. Now I'd like to go back to our original topic about cognitive levels of children and adults with severe autism. If you don't know what their cognitive levels are, how can you decide appropriate education for them? Wouldn't that be different depending on their cognitive level? Well, this is the only easy part of the conversation for me. Patrick McGreevy's Essential for Living curriculum ranks skills according to how essential they are to live a productive life. The essential 8 skills, and I will place a link to the information on those below, are the most essential skills. Everyone needs these communication and safety skills, but typical children tend to learn these by accident. I err on the side of caution. I assume my son understands everything that is said in front of him, and we all do the best we can, knowing how much we don't know. I hope this video has been helpful to you, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.